There is not a single lady on the planet who deserves to be the sole focal point of your existence. Your struggles are completely irrelevant to the women who remain at the finish line to choose the winner. They couldn't care less about what you've been through. I've been providing life counseling to one particular client for close to half a year. He is a successful veteran who has amassed a considerable fortune and has an annual income of between $2 and $3 million. Even he is unable to find a solution to the problem. I'll read it out loud to you so that you can keep up with what's going on. His inquiry was, what do you do when you are aware that 95% of women will merely take advantage of you? Because of the one-of-a-kind attributes you possess, he is concerned about the degree to which both partners are honest and open with one another. This is what he means by saying that he is concerned about how open you are. I will offer my perspective on the matter. What should you do if someone appears to be more interested in the connections you have than they are in you as a person? It's possible that he doesn't mean that, but I have my doubts. If I were in that position, I would inquire as to their plans regarding the future of our partnership. If they demanded that I identify myself by my relationships rather than my personal information, it would be a red flag for me. And even if things had been going swimmingly from the beginning, I would most likely still call it quits. According to the story being told, he is about to reach the end of his career and is done with it. He could quit his job right now and live off the money he has saved up, but he doesn't want to take any chances because he expects to get a significant amount of money in the future. As a result, he is behaving in a responsible manner. He isn't doing anything to make his life more centered on a romantic relationship with a woman. Because his objective and feeling of purpose are still driving influences in his life, a woman who is several decades his junior is drawn to him as a romantic partner. In the end, this movie is about surrendering your ideals and accepting the world in its current state. Instead of staying in bed all day and daydreaming about different parts of the world, I could get some much-needed vitamin D if I stayed outside the whole time. I don't get a good tan, therefore I'd probably wind up getting sunburned to a crisp. My arms, which generally become brown with age, have turned into a wonderful shade of red recently. My routine of taking a vitamin D supplement first thing in the morning is hindered by the fact that the effects of the vitamin only persist for a few hours at a time. I believe I saw a nod from her, and at this point I think it's safe to say that we can call it a day. She gave some thought to approaching him with her disagreement directly. She wanted to know more about his interaction with the woman, but she didn't want to drive a wedge between them. However, given that he had already made up his mind on the nature of their relationship, she couldn't compel him to provide any details. That woman is no longer a part of my life in any way, shape, or form. Because I am unable to see into the future, she will have to be patient for the time being. I recognize the work you've made, but would you mind explaining what appears to be taking place? When Eleanor questions something a second time, do you not have any means by which you can communicate? I have to come to terms with the fact that this can't go on indefinitely. Men, for some inexplicable reason, have a difficult time comprehending women in terms of who and what they genuinely are. And that is not always a bad thing in and of itself. If you are able to see women for who and what they truly are, you will be able to move forward with ease and confidence, taking the specific steps that are required to protect your safety. Many males experience agitation and irritation as a result of their fruitless attempts to capture the attention of ladies. To put it another way, the upper body strength that women normally possess is just around a third of what men have. Our ancestors survived for millions of years without the benefit of any of the modern marvels that we have produced, including roads, buildings, electricity, cameras, and many more. We, as a race, would not have been able to exist if women were not hypergamous and solipsistic, meaning they were always obsessed with their personal happiness. Even though your personality is not something you can choose, there is a 95% probability that you can change it. This is despite the fact that your personality is not something you can choose. It's a dismal reality, but all women will keep you around for as long as they can find some use for you. Although this may sound discouraging, it's the honest truth. For some people, that would be an excessive amount. This pointed small tablet may be difficult to stomach for some people due to its sharpness. If men don't acknowledge and accept the fact that women don't love them in the way that they believe they should, the sexual marketplace will become an even more hostile environment for them in general. Because of this pernicious strain of feminism, the sexual economy is in the process of disintegrating. Therefore, in the process of accepting it, keep this in mind. You will only be able to learn to exist in this world if you are able to accept it for what it is. Football, often known as soccer in the United States, is the sport that is played the most frequently all around the world. When a football fan, however, goes out and buys a ticket and then shows up to the stadium, they are aware of what they are getting themselves into. They will get to watch a match that features two different teams competing against one another. There is going to be a lot of commotion, including people shouting drunkenly and applause. They are content with the results because they had reasonable expectations going in. The only sound that can be heard is the soft splashing of water coming from a pool. One person is seen standing by themselves in the middle of a room that is quite large and highly bustling. When they hear a noise that could be an explosion or some other terrible event, they quickly start to freak out. They are instantly sent into a state of terror whenever something smacks them on the head. The men I have in mind are those who are over the age of 40. At that point, your children should be grown up and out of the way completely. The guy in question and his wife have reached a successful conclusion to the divorce proceedings. He was able to reach a settlement, which releases him from all further responsibilities. Because his children are on the cusp of becoming adults, he is mostly concerned about the costs of their education at this point. Once you reach this age, you should take extra precautions to abstain from any behavior that could be interpreted as a marriage, especially if you live in a common law state. If you do not do so, you will be considered legally married. If my lawyer cautioned me against taking the risk, I would pay attention to what he had to say. Since there is no point in having that conversation with anyone else, every man ought to have that conversation with himself. There are some strange women in the world, therefore those individuals should also look into the laws pertaining to domestic violence in their area. Approximately 1 out of every 5 women struggles with a severe case of borderline personality disorder. In the event that your wife fabricates a story about being assaulted, and the authorities believe her story, you run the risk of being wrongfully charged of domestic violence and going to jail, as well as losing your money and possessions. It is likely that the police will place you under arrest for assault occurring in the residence. If you do not believe what she is saying, she has the authority to have you taken into custody. When a couple decides to divorce, custody of the children is typically given to the mother of the child. That may give rise to some difficulties in the future. As a result, it is crucial that you have a solid understanding of these principles of the location in which you live. There are plenty of wealthy men in the world, so there is no excuse to not hire a lawyer for an hour or two to learn about the state of family law in your area as it pertains to women. After that, you should play the game according to the rules, even if it means that you will never live with the woman again. On the other hand, I won't bring that up in conversation with either you or your ex-girlfriend. To clarify, what I mean is that there is no shortage of powerful guys who have access to financial resources. It won't cost you anything extra to consult with a family law attorney for an hour or two to find out which portions of the law might be most relevant to your specific situation. My mother and I are at a loss to comprehend why it is that my father wants to hire a lawyer. It is challenging to speculate what motivates him because there is such a broad range of potential factors. The day is done. There will be no further updates.